Welcome to Islamic Life Coach School Podcast. Apply tools that you learn in this podcast and your life will be unrecognizably successful. Now your host, Dr. Kamal Akhtar.
Hello everyone. Peace and blessings be upon all of you. Today I'm coming to you with another powerful interview with a successful life coach, Shazia Imam. She is an award-winning speaker and host of the Top 12 podcast, Feminine and Fulfilled, also known as the Life Engineer. She is an ICF Certified Life Coach, but in her previous life she was an engineer with 2 decades of experience in Fortune 500 companies. She left it all to follow her soul's calling to help women unleash their authentic self and live purposefully. As a recovering people-pleasing perfectionist, Shazia knows all too well the empty feeling even when you seem to, quote-unquote, have it all. After experiencing her own life fall apart, after losing her son and then her husband, Shazia realized it was a divine push to begin living her real life. This blossomed into finding her soulmate, discovering her feminine power, and living her deep purpose, one which involves women unleashing their whole selves to feel fulfilled. With that, I want to invite you guys to look for success mindset in this interview, something that you can borrow as a thought for yourself to up-level your life. Because remember, both women on this podcast are human. Shazia too made mistakes on her way to this success. Without further ado, my talk with Shazia Imam. Assalamu alaikum. It's so good to have you. Welcome, Shazia. How are you?
Walaikum salam. I'm doing so well. I'm really excited to be chatting with you today. I feel like we've connected through our podcast group, but I don't think we've ever really talked deeply. So I'm really excited about today.
Yes, you're right. We have not. But I feel like I know you because I listen to your podcast and I attend your workshops and they're so wonderful. So it's kind of like I know you without you knowing that I know you. Yeah. And
good.
Mashallah, your personality is just so bubbly. It's so contagious. I love the energy. And all of that comes through on your platform. So that's why I wanted to bring you on my podcast. And thank you so much for accepting that invite, because I want my listeners to kind of have an understanding as to what it is to be like you, or what it is to be like somebody who is in your profession or who's gone through the journey in your life as you have. And I've given your introduction, and I know you talk very openly about the struggles you've had in your life. So I wanted to see how women that are listening to this can also borrow some tidbits from you as to create the life that you've created. So tell me in your words, why did you become interested in what you do right now?
You know, it actually fell into my lap. So I actually didn't want to do what I'm doing now. I had a prestigious career as a consultant. I'm an engineer by trade. I never really loved it, but it was good. And there was a part of me that wanted something more, but I couldn't quite tap into what that was. So for at least a decade, I was asking myself, should I get my MBA? Should I start a business? Should I do XYZ? And I wanted to figure something out before actually doing it. And I used to be such a researcher and very practical. I used to call myself Miss Practical. And what's interesting is that I had a number of people tell me you should be a coach. And I was like, oh my God, coaches are so weird. They're like the women who wear boho dresses and spin in a circle in the field and like their head is in the clouds. And I'm like, there's no way that I am going to become a coach. Like, you've got to be kidding me. And so I kept getting this feedback, and I would have women and men too, actually. I would have people come to me and say, Shazia, remember that one conversation we had? I totally changed my life after that. And I would be so happy for them. And I loved that for them. But I couldn't understand that natural skill that I had, that genuine satisfaction I got from seeing people succeed, I didn't realize that could actually be a career. I come from a family of Indian immigrant parents, and I was doing the quote unquote right thing. So to answer your question, how I really ended up in this, because I didn't want to, is that when I went through a very difficult hardship in my life, when I was actually going through my divorce and my marriage was ending after our son had passed away, and I really didn't know what was happening with my life, I just thought to myself, well, why not? Let me just take some training.
Mm.
And that training, from the first day, it was like I met my soulmate in terms of what I'm supposed to do. And it was a match made in heaven. And ever since that very first training, I've been coaching ever since. And that was back in 2014.
Wow, mashallah. I know. So like the life coaching industry is young in itself. So you've been doing it for a while. That's good.
Mhm.
So it's fascinating to notice that you kind of always knew you wanted something more, but until kind of life shakes you to your core, you don't ask that question seriously. And sometimes some people come to their true realization of life after something dramatic happens. Sometimes people come to it for other reasons, but sometimes when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives you tests in your life, it breaks you rather than make you. So, mashallah, it's so uplifting almost that you were able to find your strength. And you kind of painted an impractical picture of a coach, which is exactly how a lot of times coaches are perceived, with the cloud in the heads and all big talk. And it's kind of like, dude, we're going through these life experiences, we are evolving ourselves. That was a very clear picture that you painted there. Also, when you said it was your natural skill, that kind of caught my attention, because a lot of times we think that our natural skills are not in demand and we kind of ignore that part of us. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Again, I just want to go back to, I grew up in an Indian family. So I imagine some of the women listening are like, oh yeah, shaking your head if you were born with either Desi parents or any, parents who are from overseas. And the focus was education. The focus was get educated, get a good degree, get a good job, and then live your life. And then you add on that, being a woman, then you find fulfillment once you get married and you have a family, and then you have the house, and then you're complete. And so it's really interesting when, at least for me, I grew up like that, and I really did buy into that. And when I actually found myself with all of those things, I found myself still desiring more, feeling unfulfilled, feeling like, wait, but I know that I'm meant for more. Like, I knew I was a very talented woman. I'm ambitious. And even though I checked off all the boxes, it didn't feel satisfying to me. And so what I couldn't believe at the time, and it's hard because you can't quantify this on paper, but it was very difficult for me to imagine that I could be successful, I'm doing air quotes, successful on the outside, but also on the inside, from something that was so radically different from the very stable, secure future that my parents had told me to follow. And this is the thing that I really believe holds women back, is that we can't imagine that what we are passionate about, what we love to do, what we are talented at. And if you take all of these things, there's a fantastic book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. And he talks about the zone of genius. So your zone of genius is actually when you take all of these things, your passions, your talents, your skills, and like what you feel really lit up doing, this is your zone of genius. And when you tap into this, you have unlimited potential. It's only our own fear that we don't believe that that's possible. It's only our own fear of, well, I haven't seen somebody else do it, so how is that possible? Or how can I make the money? Or how can I be secure and comfortable? And so we stop ourselves, myself included. I stopped myself. And if we really think about this in a deep way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us in such a way that we are supposed to do the thing that Allah created us with these passions and talents for. And it's Allah's responsibility to provide our sustenance. Allah is a razak, the one who provides sustenance. So it's such a level of faith and trust to go to a place that actually you will love the most, that you will feel lit up by the most. And yet it is the scariest thing that day in and day out, I see women holding themselves back in, and I myself did for way too long also.
That's so powerful. I love the connection that if we have deep enough faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being the provider, then we find that cushion against that fear that's always telling us, no, don't go, don't explore, just give in to what the society is feeding you as a script of what it should be. And it all comes back to that fear versus faith. And you can find a lot of strength in that. That's beautiful. Like, I'm totally going to borrow that thought right there. So it also is interesting to me that everyone defines success differently. And you mentioned that you're quote unquote successful on the outside, but you can also be successful on the inside. Like, what do you mean by the inside?
Yeah, so to me, the inside is, how do you feel when you put your head on the pillow at night? That's my success metric. So I think many people can be successful on paper. You can have a great career and you can check off, you have the family, or you have the house, or you have the things that, again, society and culture shows us, oh, now you've made it, right? So like, your resume of success can look good, but if you put your head on the pillow at night and you don't feel fulfilled, you don't feel content, you don't feel at peace, then what is it for? Like, what is it really for? And this is the bigger conversation that, consumerism selling you all of these other things. It's trying to sell you a lifestyle. It's trying to sell you like, and then you'll be successful and you'll have all the money and you'll have the love and you'll have all these things. And actually what we're looking for is that deeper inner sense of fill in the blank, that deep feeling that you're yearning for. For me and the women and the clients that I work with, almost always is fulfillment, peace, contentment, freedom. These are the four things over and over again that I hear and I experience myself too. So when you have those things, it doesn't matter what's on the outside. And look, you get to have the outside too. I'm all about it. Like, you get to be totally fabulous on the outside, but really when you can connect to this deeper success on the inside, you can actually have that today. You can have that even if circumstances are really difficult in your life, or even though on paper life doesn't look like what you want it to be, you can still tap into those deeper feelings. And when you do that, the other things will come to you. I think we do this thing as a society where we're looking outwards all the time for that outward success and then feeling empty on the inside. And it's actually quite the opposite. You want to find that fullness on the inside, and then all of the things will come to you. It's a big paradigm shift in the way that society works.
Yeah. So we're, instead of doing things outside in, we're doing them inside out. So that's the difference in approach, kind of like in 180 of what consumerism teaches us. And there's no school for that. Maybe nobody in school really teaches you that. It's something that really rattles your brain right there, that you could find that fulfillment now. You don't have to fix anything with the outside of you, or any achievement or any mark that you have to get to before you can get that achievement, before you can get that sense of success from within. It's interesting that you have experience in the corporate world and in the coaching world. What do you think people misunderstand the most about what you do?
Well, I think the number one misconception about what I do is that I'm a therapist. I get this question all the time. How is coaching different from therapy? And it's such an interesting question because I have done like decades of therapy. I've been in therapy for so long. I'm a huge advocate for therapy. I think it's really, really important, but coaching and therapy are so different from each other. So when I think about therapy, I spent a lot of time in therapy because I needed to process how I grew up. I needed to process past traumas, past experiences, work through a lot of the deeper feelings. And that was really important because if we don't look behind, then it's like this backpack that's filled with rocks and boulders and so much weight that's sitting on you. And if you don't actually deal with letting all of that go, you're just going to carry it, and it's going to be a much more difficult journey forward. But coaching is very much the journey forward. Where do you go from here? How do you take aligned action? What are your big dreams? Where are you holding yourself back? And how can you really not just take the step forward, but I like to tell my clients, how do you get to fly? Let's move away from, again, the very typical paradigm and conversation we're having where you have to take one step and then the next step and then the next step. I really believe that you can fly and soar if you start really trusting in Allah. So I get this the most, and it is a really big misconception. So I think people miss an opportunity to know that coaching is the support to have you be free and to fly and to live that life that you wish for inside, and you're wanting it to happen, but wondering why it hasn't yet. So I see one other thing I see related to that is, and whether it's therapy or coaching, because I think they're both very important, but I see a lot of women wondering, well, why do I need support for this? Like, why can't I do it on my own? And the truth is, if we look at internal or external successful people, they have support. The most successful people, if you read their biographies, you will hear time and time again that they had support. Nobody is doing it by themselves. And it's a fallacy to think that, oh, I have to do it on my own. That's actually a blind spot that's holding you back too. So that's like the number one thing I hear over and over again. And I feel like I should just have an infographic with the differences about it. And I recommend both all the time. I have clients who are in therapy at the same time as well. And sometimes they've done the therapy and they come to me, and vice versa. So it's all good.
They're very complementary to each other. Totally. I completely agree. And I love the way you defined it, that therapy is equal to kind of looking behind. And then if you want to move forward after you're still working on healing that, or if you've healed that and you want to know what's the next step, let's go towards coaching. And it's so universally true that women have this blind spot that's kind of been conditioned into them culturally, this fallacy that, why do I need support? Because from young, they're told that you're the glue that keeps everything together. It's almost programmed into us that there shouldn't be any need for outside support. You should be enough. And again, that is a lie. That's not something that is sustainable, to say the least. And not to mention, again, if you do want to find that success inside and out, support is not only needed, it's absolutely essential. There's no way around it, because the thing that sabotages us is sometimes within ourselves, and it's hard to see that from within yourself. Sometimes the way I describe therapy is that you're kind of like, you're in a hole in the ground, and it's hard to give coaching to somebody who's so far deep inside. And with therapy, you kind of come up and you level that off, and then you move forward. And again, it could continue together. And one of my coaches described therapy for people, like, I love medical analogies. So obvious reasons. So they said therapy is kind of like going to the doctor for a broken arm, and that's appropriate. You need surgery, you need a cast, you need appropriate treatment for that. But sometimes people would come to coaching with a broken arm and would be like, sorry, can't help you. You need a doctor, you need a surgeon for that. Or sometimes people think they have a broken arm and they're going to the doctor, and the doctor will do what it knows. An orthopedic knows how to perform surgery. They'd recommend surgery. You don't actually need it. You need some TLC, some support, you have a bruise on the arm. And a lot of times people self-diagnose with broken arms, that I have this mental illness, I should go get this done. And it's been kind of being handed to them from the society and Dr. Google and whatever. So it's good that you brought that up. It's such an effective demarcation to make. You mentioned the book, The Big Leap. Excellent book. Love it. What else do you do? It sounds like you are into the self-help genre, but what else do you do to self-educate, or what more of this do you do?
So to self-educate, I have read a lot of books. I spent a lot of probably my 30s, my 20s and 30s reading a lot of books. So I read a lot of finance books when I was first coming into the personal growth space. I read a lot of finance books because I wanted to understand how I could be wealthy because I didn't come from that. And I saw other people doing it and I'm ambitious. So that's where I started. It started transitioning into more personal growth around personal development. And I read a lot of books around, what are my dreams and what do you want to do? And the law of attraction and manifesting. And I started like learning about myself and learning how can I magnetize things. And I read a lot in that genre until I read a book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. This is one of my most favorite books, and it's my number one recommendation for women. The Artist's Way is a spiritual path to your creativity, and it is all about coming back to your creative self. And I didn't believe I was creative because I'm an engineer. Engineers aren't creative. So I had this belief that I was all in my head. I was very much about numbers and the data. And the truth is that I had always been a creative person, but because I didn't paint well or sing well, I didn't believe that about myself. And this book allowed me to really see that actually I am creative and really bringing forth parts of me that I hadn't before. And I love this book because it's interactive, you with you. It's a great starting point. If anybody is curious about the personal growth space, I just say start here. You're going to learn so much about yourself and then you can go from there. I always think about the personal growth journey as a journey, just like our life is. Now, I got to a point, I'm going to be totally frank with you, where I stopped reading. Like, I cannot, please don't give me another personal growth book. Like, I am done. I think I have read everything. If you name something, I've probably read it. So I feel like I did my schooling and now I'm complete. And what really is impactful for me now, and again, my experience with women is through experiential learning. So actually experiencing things, whether it is experiencing a workshop or experiencing something creative or experiencing a getaway. When you can actually be in something that is experiential, you can embody what it is that you are looking to have, to be in. Because when I was talking earlier about that success, having like starting with the success inside and out, again, if we're always looking for when this thing happens, I will feel or be XYZ, that energy will always be there, that it's far away. But when you do something experiential and you're either learning or you're embodying, your brain sees it as a reality. So for me, some of the most expansive things have been experiential leadership training, where I am able to embody my leadership today, now, in a guided way that has allowed me to see like, oh, I am a leader. I don't have to wait to be a leader. I am a leader. Here's how it feels. Okay, now here's where I go from here. I think this kind of learning it's transformational. It's transformational. It is the thing that allows you and your brain also to understand, oh, this is real. And if your brain can see it as reality today, it will follow along when you start thinking about the ideas and executing on the ideas that your heart has. When you start thinking like, oh, I'm really talented at this. What if I did this? Your brain will now be on board because you've experienced embodying what that feels like, what that's like.
Brain will be on board. Beautiful. So you said so much and everything is just so loaded. I kind of want to unpack everything. And it's beautiful because you talked about this concept of magnetizing things, totally borrowing that one as well, because you, after embody it, after you experience it, after you've kind of tapped into that, this is me, rather than somebody in the future who could be at some point after a degree or after a course or after a certain hustle, get there. It's me now, you magnetize it towards yourself. That's a beautiful, beautiful combination. And redefining creativity. I have people around me who tell me that, oh yeah, I don't paint, or I'm not a poet, or like how I'm not really a creative person. And I'm like, do you wear your hijab a certain way? Do you wear makeup? What about your hairstyle? Do you pick your house decor? These are all creative expressions. And creativity is so innate in us that to deny that is to deny like breathing almost to yourself.
Yes.
And it's good to make that connection that there are other levels of creativity than you can tap into besides being a paid artist. And the experiential learning that you talked about, it's incredible. Like I'm still at the point where I love to read books, at least 3 a week. And again, I've read
Wow.
everything a lot.
Get it, girl.
I'm in a consumer phase. I give myself a break and then I go back to it because I miss it. I miss the information. But the most that I learn from each book is what I implement, was what I experience. Because again, we're created as experiential beings. We create our reality through the vision of our minds. And that's what becomes familiar to us. So that's when you said it so beautifully that I am a leader now. I don't have to become a leader 5, 10, 20 years from now at the end of my career or after retirement or whatever the case might be. And when you start to embody that, you start to attract that towards yourself. It's just, I think that's such a beautiful concept that you put together so nicely. I do want to ask you just one more question before we stop this interview. And
Sure.
that is about, what is your next level? What do you imagine yourself to be in the next phase of your life?
It's such a good question because I was just sitting with that question yesterday and I'm not really sure. What I'll say is this: I don't actually know what my next step is, but I can answer your question because it actually allows me to think further ahead to the future. Even though I am a seasoned coach and I've been doing this for quite some time, I still have the same questions like I did when I first started. I still go through, what am I doing now? And other people will be like, Shaz, it looks like you have everything all together. And I'm like, yeah, but I still come up against questions. I'm still always looking for my next cut and my next level. So if you were to ask me, what's your next step? You would have me stumped. But when I think about myself in terms of long term and where I really see my next level being is that I've always seen myself as a leader of leaders. And what I mean by that is that I know innately that my role isn't that I'm going to solve every problem in the world. And we have a lot, right? I mean, there's so many things that we could talk about today that are devastating. And it breaks my heart. And I know that I can't fix all of those things, but I know that my purpose in this world is that I get to be the leader of the leaders and the change makers who can make those very targeted changes in the world. And so my role is to be that coach, that leader for women, for female change makers and leaders who may feel like they're alone. This is what happens as you really start moving further up in your success and where you want to be. It can start to feel lonely. It can start to feel like people don't really understand me. And I want a place for women at that level and that caliber to have a place to just collect, be held, be seen, be witnessed, and then also have their up level, because whatever they're doing is really important. What they're doing, if they don't have that right support, they won't be able to make that change. So this is where I see myself. I see myself as the coach, that woman where leaders say, oh my gosh, have you worked with Shazia? You need to work with her because she's going to be the one who sees you. And in many ways, I'm already living that now. My clients are really phenomenal women and so successful in their own right and such change makers. And I just see myself continuing in that place and that expanding.
Yeah, there's always another level of growth. That's how I feel women, human beings in general, are created. So if you've gotten to a point where you think, like you say, it could be a lonely experience, and a lot of times that fear in itself keeps people from moving forward.
Yes.
Can't be more successful than that. I'm going to lose my friend. I'm going to lose my circle. I'm going to lose my community. And it's incredible to find that you're actually providing a safe space for that. And you're at that level where you're having to find out that there is a need for that space, mashallah. You've given so many brain rattling ideas, so I really appreciate that. And inshallah, my listeners will appreciate that as well. Where can we find you?
Oh, you can find me in so many places. So my podcast is Feminine and Fulfilled. You can find it anywhere podcasts are listened to. My website is thelifeengineer.com. And I'm on Instagram at thelifeengineer. And I'm also on Facebook at facebook.com/Shazia TLE, as in the life engineer. So there's a number of ways to connect. And I would be so happy to connect in any one of those platforms and really hear what your dreams are and what you're longing for, and then bringing those to life, inshallah.
Inshallah. Awesome. Tell me about a retreat coming up, because tell me.
Okay, I hope you're coming too. There's 3 spots left. So I actually have a retreat. So I've been talking about embodiment, and I realized it's finally time to start doing in-person embodying experiences. So I'm having the Wealth Embodiment Retreat. It will be September 16th through 18th. And it is meant to be a weekend that will allow you to embody wealth in all the ways, the inside out. And so I'm creating a beautiful weekend with a private chef, sensory experiences, coach-led exercises by me. I'll be leading all of the exercises, and being in a tight-knit group of other powerful women. I want to bring these powerful leaders I'm talking about. I want to bring us together, right? So we can be masterminding together. So there's only 10 spots left for this particular date. And there's only 3 spots left out of the 10. I'm keeping it very limited. And if you are interested, you can go to thelifeengineer.com/retreat.
That sounds so incredible and inviting. I will totally look into that. But of course, for anybody who's listening to this, if they're interested, all the links that Shazia was talking about will be in the show notes. Besides that, thank you so very much. It was awesome hanging out with you. I feel uplifted already.
I get that a lot. And if you want to keep things going, I actually have a gift for people who are listening. In case you can't make it to the retreat this time, I do have a gift. If you go to thelifeengineer.com/dreams, you can have my 100 Dreams List template that I used to really create this life I'm living today. That's a conversation for another day, but I'll walk you through exactly how to use that. And that's my gift. Me to you.
MashaAllah, thank you so much. Very, very generous. Thank you so much. I'm sure they'll all take advantage of that offer. Thank you so much. It was great hanging out with you.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
If you're interested in getting coached by me, I'm offering a very affordable opportunity to do that with Wisdom Wednesdays. This is not a course, not a lecture. This is an opportunity for live coaching, real change with Islamic adab and etiquette. You do not need more information. You actually need a space to create change. At $19.99 a month, which is the price of takeout dinner, you as a Muslim woman will create confidence, intimacy, and connection without shame or fear of judgment, because your privacy is my highest priority. So join at www.islamiclifecoachschool.com. Resources, Wisdom Wednesdays. I'll see you inside, inshallah.